Hey everybody, this is Flavio Romeo, and on this special sports edition of the Towncast, we were in Gianella's down in Glen Rock. Great place if you haven't been there. And we had the opportunity of talking to Major League Baseball sports agent and also the co-host of the Agent and the Fan podcast, Chris Leible. And Chris Leible shares his insight on the recent move of Juan Soto over to the Mets and some other baseball news. All right, enjoy the episode, everybody. All right, everybody, so this is an emergency sports edition of the Towncast, and I have none other than Chris Leible, the agent of the Agent and the Fan podcast. Chris, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
I had posted, I know a lot of you guys have seen it, I had posted, and Chris, by the way, was on Guys Talking Sports, and we're going to have him back on next year. Coming back on.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Awesome. So, we wanted to get on because, between Juan Soto leaving the Yankees, leaving them hanging, everybody's all upset. Yankee fans are upset. Mets fan couldn't be happier. And I know he can't say which fan he is because he's an agent. You got to like them all.
That is true.
But
that
deep
is
down,
true.
come on, deep down you got to have him.
Well, I grew up a very, very big Mets fan.
Okay,
True.
all right. So
I also work for the Mets in the front office.
Even more so.
So, I mean...
There's got to be a party
that.
that's like, yes.
Well, I mean, we'll get into that. We can get into it.
So there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, so it's not Christmas yet. I'm hoping that this is going to come out in the next couple of days before Christmas. But as an early Christmas, the Yankees picked up Devin Williams. They picked up Cody Bellinger. They took all that money that they could have spent on Soto, and they bought other players to build what they needed. I was kind of hoping they would do that. As much as Soto was great, I think the money is just ridiculous. I think it's way too much money, and it's just setting a precedent for the future that other teams, how can they afford it? They can't afford players like that. They end up getting the players at the end of their careers. Like, yeah, we got Juan Soto at the age of 36.
Well, listen. When George Steinbrenner was still in power and ran the Yankees, you weren't saying that, I'm sure.
That's true. We took Reggie Jackson.
So you took plenty of guys like that, Dave Winfield, and going to the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of guys, a lot of guys like that. George, who got A-Rod, he picked up a lot of important guys. So I think it's you got to look at both sides of the coin. I think for me as an agent, I have to look at both sides of the coin. As a fan, and that's kind of why I think we talked about doing this, is that as a fan you have to. I mean, you're a fan, so you're and again, I'm a fan too when it comes to other things too. Like when it comes to the University of Miami football team, I'm
that's
hardcore about the Miami. Yeah, I'm very, very hardcore.
I did a commercial years ago, back in the early 2000s. I did a TV commercial for the Miami Hurricanes.
Really?
It was the dumbest thing. So I was in a garage, right? The door was open, the cameras were over there, and above me were my children. And they dump out these 2 bags of flour that create all this, the beginning of the hurricanes.
Smoke,
they come, so they dump out all of these. I have a Hurricanes jersey on, and I come running through the flour, like, woo, yeah! And then they cut to the Miami Hurricanes coming out. Yeah, it's the only time I ever did it.
Yeah, by the way, every team does that now. Miami invented that. You know that.
Absolutely.
It was coming through the smoke. Every team comes through smoke now.
Yeah.
Miami invented a lot of things that they
Did you go to
credit for. So my dad played baseball there.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, so I grew up I grew up at the right time, and I grew up when they were the bad boys of college football, and I grew up here.
Did you go to games?
Oh yeah, we have season tickets.
Do you really?
Yeah. So we've been to 3 games this year.
Nice.
So yeah, we've done there a couple
Not
of
a
times.
bad place to go to watch some
No, we
football,
try and go as much as possible.
Yeah,
we love
yeah.
it down there. I take my sons. I have 2 young boys. So,
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, trying to.
So you're raising them properly.
Oh yeah, well their names are one is named Kane.
Come on.
Yeah, and the other one is Michael Ray Lewis after Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis.
Really?
Yeah.
Michael Ray Lewis. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So how come you were named Chris?
Well, my dad wasn't that big of a fan of them.
No.
He actually got thrown out of there, but that's another,
That's another podcast.
Yeah, that's another podcast. So, but it's a long story. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. Yeah, I think, look, you're a fan. You have a certain perspective on it. I think it's funny the Yankee fans have turned on Juan Soto very quickly. He was the be-all, end-all when they got him in the trade a year ago. A year ago, if you go back to my podcast, The Agent of the Fan, go back to the Agent of the Fan archives, you'll see I said the Yankees gave up a lot for a one-year rental.
We're going to post which episode, so people want to check it out.
Yeah, we got to find that.
We'll post it right under here.
I have to go back and look through and find
Yeah,
out.
let me know.
But I thought that, because Lou, my co-host, who's the fan of the Agent of the Fan, I'm a Major League Baseball Players Association certified agent, and so for a quarter of a century now. But yeah, so basically my partner, on the show, he reminds me of you. He's a big Yankee fan,
too.
and a little bit. And but Lou, Lou takes the fan's perspective. That's the premise of my show. But that's why I had to come on your show, because I saw some of the things you posted.
Yeah.
I enjoy all your stuff. I've heard you on the radio. I know you're everywhere, which is great. But I do have to say, I have to take the other side on this, because you are looking at it through your Yankee colored glasses,
absolutely.
And I'm looking at it more of a big picture. That's kind of
all right. So you're looking at it big picture.
Yeah.
It's obviously Cohen can spend as much money as he wants, but he will never, in his lifetime or his descendants' lifetimes, will ever run out of money. So he can literally buy.
He's one of the richest people in the world.
Every great player in baseball, and they can have a dynasty for the next 30 years.
Right.
But how do you feel? Obviously, as an agent, that'd be great.
Of course. So,
but how do you feel for the sport?
Well, listen, Steve Cohen didn't become a billionaire by being a moron. Okay, he's a very smart man.
If that were the case, I would be a billionaire.
Me too. But Steve Cohen is a very astute businessman, and he's not just going to throw money away just to throw it away.
He's building a dynasty.
Look, he's trying to build something, and he wanted to go get a flagship guy to help build it, and he went and did it, okay? And as from the Mets' perspective, you have to look at it. The Mets have never really done that before. They've never gone out and gotten, as a free agent, the guy. They've gotten plenty of guys.
Right.
And yes, they've gotten some guys. Bobby Bowe is a good friend of mine. I had Bobby Bowe with the Mets. He's a great guy.
He's the one that's getting paid until the end of time?
Yeah. Well,
Did you negotiate that contract?
No, I wasn't his agent.
Well,
I wasn't his agent. I was working for the Mets then. But Bobby, I think it's Bobby. He was the number one free agent on the market that time, but he wasn't viewed at like Soto is being viewed at. They view Soto as being like a generational talent, is being put at that. Again, that's a debatable point that we can talk about, but I think with the Mets have never gotten the guy. Okay, the Mets, going back to the beginning of free agency with people like Reggie, we mentioned Dave Winfield. They've always finished second to a team that's gotten him. Even last year, Yamamoto was the big free agent, and I feel like he used the Mets which is a great tactic by the agent, to use the Mets to elevate his worth and get him to the place he really wanted to go for a better price than they probably would have given him if there wasn't other competition. So, but as an agent, of course you want to get the best deal for your player, but you also have to look at the game. Okay, the game is raking in money. Okay, the money is there. Okay, the owners are all very, very wealthy people, and most of them aren't stupid. So yes, I agree with you, some of the smaller market teams, but the smaller market teams are the smaller market teams. The good ones,
and they still have devoted fans.
Yeah,
they know what it is.
And the good small market teams, they find a way to compete.
Yeah, like Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay is a great great example. So you have to you look at it that way. You're right, but like I said, you're taking a different perspective of it because you lost this one. The Yankees haven't lost a lot of these.
If George was around, I don't know.
No, it would have been crazy if George. It would have
been 900 million.
Yeah. So,
and Cohen would have never relented. He just would have kept.
No, I think. Yeah,
this was.
Listen,
I think this
was his guy, and this is who they wanted. His wife Alex. They're they're committed to this, and this is what they wanted to do. Like you said, it's a drop in the bucket to them. It's me or you putting $1 in the tip jar over here for these people.
Right,
To go up an extra, whatever X amount of millions of dollars.
I guess the way I looked at it was, look at Judge. All right, so Judge obviously was the Juan Soto a couple of years ago when the Yankees finally gave him the big contract, and he could have gotten more money, but to him, and the way I look at it, like I bring every time I have friends in town from China, from wherever, I bring them to Yankee Stadium. We all walk Monument Park. And to me, I'm going to ask you. So, from the agent's perspective, Monument Park doesn't mean a lot.
Correct. Well, here's the thing. This is it. At the end of the day, the Yankees have a rich story tradition. It's 100 plus years. Okay, going back to Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, all through the years, straight through to the 70. The Bronx is burning.
When you walk through the stadium, it's like you really feel it.
Yeah, but you got the Bronx is burning. You went to the 90s with the core four and the whole dynasty there into the 2000. So the Yankees have an unparalleled history, not only in baseball, in sports. Okay, they're the most famous team in sports for a reason. Okay. The Mets have a nice little history. The Mets haven't been around 100 years, okay? Even if they were 100 years, could they ever get to those points? Probably not. It was a different world back then when they had Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and people like that. Totally different game. But my whole thing is, I agree with you saying Judge was becoming a free agent. He decided to go with the Yankees, okay? Judge also came up with the Yankees, okay? The Yankees were Soto's third team, okay? He's 5 years or 26 years old. Yeah, that was his third team.
I know, which kind of says something a little bit about the
player.
He
got traded. He got traded twice, so that's not up to the player. But everybody knew his agent is Scott Boras. Scott is known to take his players to free agency. He's great at what he does. He's the preeminent agent in the business.
He's in his 70s, right?
Yeah, I don't know how old he is, but he's
net worth is like
not a kid.
$900 million.
Yeah, he's negotiated tons of great deals. I think everybody was looking at it, in the right perspective. Knew, and this is what I knew, and that's why I said that as a 1-year rental. He was going to go the highest bidder. Would the Yankees be the highest bidder? That was the big question. Yeah. They weren't, and he went elsewhere. So to me, it wasn't a surprise. But I have to say is that what you have to do is, and I'm not telling you what to do, but okay, like
That's all right. I like it.
My perspective is you have to look at it a little differently if you want to see the. I know you're a Yankee fan. I know Monument Park means the world to you. Okay, but and I get it. Like it's amazing. It's a cool thing when you can go there and you see like the hallowed halls and say like these guys. It's the same. Obviously they've redone the stadium a few times, but it's still the same place that they've done. So I think for the fact that that's cool and all, but to Juan Soto, a young kid from the Dominican Republic, young guy who's obviously a great baseball player. It's not that, and he's not. Aaron Judge is a little different in that he's been a Yankee. He came through the Yankee organization. Lou, on my podcast, The Edge of the Fan, said he could have been a legend with the Yankees. I said, Lou, you're a Yankee fan. He could be a legend with the Mets. He could have been a legend with the Brewers or the Reds.
But when you think of legends with the Mets, so you got Tom Seaver.
Yes, but when Babe Ruth was there, no one said, "Oh, when you think of Yankees, legends of the Yankees," the Yankees never did anything before that.
The beginning,
but before that, there were other great players. There were legendary players. Christy Mathewson was a legend. Cy Young was a legend. Walter Johnson was a legend. These were before Babe Ruth, but with different teams. Okay, you can be a legend from another team. Okay, there's plenty of legends. Around the game, through the years. If you go to Detroit and go to Al Kaline or something like that, that's a legend to anybody in Detroit. He's a legend. Like he might not be the biggest name in New York because there have been bigger names, but in Detroit, Al Kaline's like the man. So and again, I'm just picking a random guy. Kirby Puckett's a legend in Minnesota. Okay, you don't have to be in New York to be a legend. We have to look at a bigger picture of the whole world and not just say everything's based in New York.
Well,
so that's.
But here's an observation I have. So I travel for work. What actually pays me, because this doesn't. For work, I travel the world. So China, Europe, many different countries, India. And I was in Germany last year, and there was a guy with his wife sitting next to me, and he had a Yankee hat on. And I said, "Oh, you're a Yankee fan, huh?" And he said, "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" So you're wearing he wears the hat because obviously it's the logo and it's cool. The New York Yankee hat is cool. He had no idea what the Yankees were.
So here's the thing. I say this all the time. If you see somebody walking down the street with a Mets hat, you know, in New York, I can almost guarantee you they're a fan of the Mets. Okay? If you see someone wearing a Yankee hat, it's 50-50 at best that they're a Yankee fan.
That's true.
Okay?
That's true. Especially in other countries.
I have family members, not going to say anything, apologize if you're watching this, but might not be able to name 5 people on the team that say they're, that wear Yankee hats and say they're huge Yankee fans, okay? I can guarantee you, if I see somebody walking out with a Mets hat and I say something to them about somebody or some hero of the Mets history. So the Yankees are a transcending organization. The interlocking NY that
You know who designed that?
No.
You know who designed the Yankee logo? I bet most people don't know this, but if you go to Monument Park, there's a plaque on the ground with the logo, and it talks about who designed it. Who designed that was Tiffany's.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Interesting.
Tiffany's designed that in the 1800s.
Wow.
I want to say it was either for the fire department, but it was for an organization in New York.
Yeah.
And the Yankees said, "Oh, I like this." They adopted that as their logo.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. So you're an agent. I have to ask you this. 'Cause this is one thing that drives me crazy. Anytime I call sports radio, whether it's the Fan or it's ESPN, and shout out to Don LaGreca, he's a Hawthorne boy on ESPN radio. Having been in business for as long as I have, you get salary. Grew up getting a salary. If you do well that year, you get a bonus. They'll give you some incentives during the year. Sell a bunch of these, you'll get some more money, so on and so forth. When I watch these athletes, and I thought about it with Judge too. He's in contract year, has the best year that he could ever imagine. In his contract year, I'm like, okay, so let's see what happens next year. And he had another good year.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually happen. You're in a contract year, you play your hardest, you get that contract. So where's the incentive? I mean, obviously it's personal. Like, you want to do well. I'm sure Juan Soto went to the Mets because he wants to be the guy. He wants to be the #1 guy. But I always thought that athletes, look at golf, look at tennis, the individual sports. If you win the tournament, you get a lot of money. You don't win the tournament, you don't get a lot of money. There's no participation trophies. In sports, we're going to give you a 10-year contract. As of tomorrow, I don't have to work as hard as I did yesterday.
Again, I think as an agent, you have to look at things a little different in that you're dealing with different individuals. Just like everyday life, just like you're walking down the street, you're walking in the store, you meet somebody at a party or whatever it is. You deal with different individuals. Everybody's different, okay? I hear what you're saying. Some guys are motivated in certain ways, other guys are motivated in other ways, okay? I've had clients that were motivated, just wanted the contract, they got the contract and then maybe tailed off. I've had guys who got the contract and said, I'm going to show them they spent the money the right way. Everybody's different.
And I felt Judge was like that. I felt like he came back as a thank you and just played your hardest. Because I know for me, I hate to say it, if someone's going to offer me, I'm going to give you $20 million to do the podcast for the next 10 years. I'm like, all right, but I don't have to stress about it. We're getting paid. I don't have to,
No, I hear you. Again, everybody's different, and everybody's got a different perspective on things and a different thing. Some people want to say, hey, this guy took a chance on me. I'm gonna give him 10 times more than what he's paying me for because I appreciate what he did for me. Some guys are going to go, hey, I earned what I have to get.
I felt LeBron James was like that. LeBron James just played 100%. I mean, I'm not a big fan jumping from team to team, getting a ring, and then going to the highest bidder. But I feel like he never relented. He just is always playing at 100% level. And so, and listen, I have a lot of Mets fans. I love the Mets. I don't know why Yankee fans can't stand the Mets. They're in a different division. If you're a Yankee fan, be a Yankee fan. You're a Met fan, be a Met fan.
Everybody's got a different look on that too.
When they play together, okay.
So I grew up. So my dad was from Brooklyn, so he was a huge Dodgers fan growing up.
Yeah.
And then he
did he stay in LA Dodger?
No, not until the Mets came.
Okay.
The players were still there, but when the Mets came, he became a big Mets fan.
Okay.
But
he's a New York fan.
No, he hates the Yankees.
Why does he hate the Yankees?
Well, I think he beat his team like 7 times in like 12 years or something when he was a kid. So, he was a little kid, and they were, every year they were the bullies. So, he hated the Yankees. He was just as happy with the Yankees losing as the Mets winning.
It's so common. Yeah.
But he hated the Yankees. So he's gone now. But that impact? Well, he would make kids get the kids to my house in Yankee stuff, turn their stuff inside out.
Really?
Yeah.
You couldn't enter the house.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had no Yankee. Anything.
No.
It would have just caught on fire, just spontaneously combusted.
For sure.
All right, so if the Yankees are playing the Mets, who do you root for?
Well, again, I'm an agent.
I know.
So if I have players on both teams, I root for the players to do well.
You cheer for the play. You root for the play.
And by the way, I kind of do that in all sports, professional sports.
You root for the players.
I root for the players. Yeah. I mean, I grew up, Jets, Mets, type of thing. Yeah. Trust me, I know.
Giants, Yankees.
Yeah. And I rooted against those teams. My dad hated those teams. So, but it's a funny thing how you kind of that molds you or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But everybody has a different view on things, and I think that's one thing you have to do just in general in life is that you have to kind of take a step back and take a look at it from the other person's perspective.
And I know that we look at from a fan perspective, we're looking at it selfishly, and we're looking at it, it's our team, and we want the team to do well. And I was looking at it like Soto and Judge could have been Mantle and Maris, could have been Ruth and Gehrig. They could have been that
100%.
team. But if you look at, and I know because I've been in business for as long as I have, you look at it from a business perspective. You want to make the money while you can. So it's more a business than it is an emotion. For us, it's emotion.
I hear a lot of baseball players say that I'm not a baseball player, I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, and people said, I've had friends say to me like, what's the difference? You got $760 million. What if you take $740? What's the big deal? It's $20 million. We make that much money. What's the difference? Well, the difference is $20 million. You know what I mean? That means something. And again, everybody looks at it differently. I could certainly understand the guy taking less and saying, and I would say that with my clients. If a client says to me, hey, what do you think I should do? These guys are offering a little more, but I kind of like it here better.
You hear that?
I'll say to them, listen, it's your life. You got to do what you think's best for you. If you think you and your family are comfortable here where you are, in this town, then take less money. Even though it costs me less money, but I want my guy to be happy. I want my client to be happy, and I want them. I don't live that life.
That's good to hear because I always get the impression that agents are like,
well, many are.
$20 million.
Many are. Again, I do look. $20 million is a lot of money. I'm talking, But I mean, sometimes you get that thing, and I know when I did it with one of my clients who had a who had a decent sized offer, and I brought it up to him. I said, "Is it better maybe you stay and just be a legend here or whatever?" And he ended up they ended up not materializing what they were going to offer, and he ended up going elsewhere, made a lot of money. And it didn't work out as far as like maybe his full career and some of the accolades after the career, but guess what? He lives very well now. He's very comfortable. He never has to worry about it. Like you just said, he's got a bunch of kids.
So he was happy.
He's happy, and he's lived off of that money and been able to do things that he wanted to do and invest in money. And I'm talking about huge sums of money, but nine figures. I'm talking about 9-figure salary, but or 9-figure contract. So I mean,
9 figures. I gotta figure out what that is.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, but what I'm saying is like, everything happens for a reason, and you do what's best for you and your family at the end of the day. And yes, those accolades are great and nice, and some of them will come and some of them won't. And maybe Juan Soto could have a plaque in Monument Park. He never will now, but he's gonna also, like you said, maybe he'll make an impact with the money elsewhere and besides his family, and maybe he'll be involved. And it's just everybody has a different look at things and a different perspective. But I knew Juan was going to take the most money, and it's his right to do that. Once you get to free agency, that's the one thing I always say that you earn that right, okay? Because in baseball, it's not like if your job. If somebody comes along to you and says, "Hey, here I'm going to give you a job. I'm going to give you an extra, $100,000," you're probably going to be gone, okay?
Right.
And so on and so on. But I think with someone like, in baseball, there's a reserve system, so you really can't go anywhere if the team wants to keep you, and you're under team control for minor leagues. Through your first 3 years, then if you can get through those first 3 years, generally, some nuances to the rules, but you get to arbitration, then you actually get a say. But you don't even, you're not free still. You're still with them. You still have to fight for what you can make a case, and if you can't come to an agreement with the team, then you go into a hearing.
Okay. And
then you have a hearing, and that goes on for 3 years. Generally, although there can be different variations off of that. But generally it's 3 years. And so you have to, so you're really talking about your 7th year for free agency. So you have to, how many careers go 7 years? Not that many.
Right.
So you earn that right, and when you earn that right, when you do what you want to do, when you earn that right, that's why it's free agency, and you can do what you want to do. So you can stay, go, and whatever.
So the Mets just picked up this young kid, Yuhi Sako, from the New Jersey Jackals. And we had a chance to see him. We had a chance to see him pitch. He was an all-star, great young pitcher. They picked him up, putting him in the minors. So in something like that, as an agent, how do they draft? So they sign him for a minor league contract. How does that work? Like, if we bring you up, you just mentioned you get you for 3 years. Is there a standard, or is it all different? Every player's different.
So as far as the contracts go when they get to the big leagues?
Yeah, like if right now he's playing. So
Yuki Sako just got you had mentioned me. He got signed by them, so he's in the minor leagues. So he's to get to the big leagues is hard. To get to the minor leagues is near impossible. To get to the big leagues is more ridiculous. So if for someone like that, he's going to have to earn his way, work his way up through the minor leagues.
Let's say he's just 300 strikeouts.
Be lights out through the minor leagues. Can make it all the way to the top where the team says, hey, this guy can help us at the big league level. He comes up, he's going to have to spend 3 years.
So usually that's what it is.
And they call that club. We call that those years like club control. Okay. So the team will basically tell you what you're going to make.
And they can always trade you.
They can trade. Oh yeah, you're under club control, so they can do whatever they want. They can keep you. They can trade you. They can release you. They're basically going to tell you during those 3 years your salary.
Yeah.
And then
it's not a big salary.
No, tiny. Although they have unionized the minor leaguers over the last few years. And they
don't have to work at Home Depot?
No, yeah, exactly. People have done that for years. Yeah. I mean, some of these guys, you're talking about making a few $1,000s a month for 6 months. I mean, that's what they make. So that's, again, in the United States, it's not a lot of money. I mean, some of them, live with their parents in the off season, whatever it is. Some of them,
like Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, that would be different. That would be a little different. But no, I mean, I think football's a completely different animal. But
you never done anything in any other sport? You've always focused.
No, I worked on baseball. Yeah, I've had companies that have done other sports, but my focus has been baseball. I've done a little crossover things, helping some other people, but you have to know the collective bargaining agreement to be able to work in a sport, and they're all different: baseball, football, hockey, basketball. So.
Well, listen, I highly recommend you listen to The Age of the Fan, because it's great. What I love is that it's great to have the perspective of both. Like we just had that conversation, because again, we as fans bring so much emotion to it, and the Mets are going to have an amazing year. I know they're going to have a great year, even though the Yankees picked up some great players, I would love to see another Subway Series. I'd love that.
Yeah, it seemed like it might happen for a little while there. The Mets battled the Dodgers. Very tough, I think. Tougher than the Yankees. Tougher than the Yankees.
Yeah, a lot tougher than the Yankees.
But and they were a little shorthanded, so it'll be interesting to see. There's still a lot of off season to go, so I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen with not only the Mets and Yankees, but the rest of the league. There's a lot of great players out there.
Have you ever gone down to spring training?
Oh yeah, I go every.
Do you?
Yeah.
Port St. Lucie?
Everywhere.
Nice.
I usually do 2 trips to Florida and 1 trip to Arizona.
Now, are you scouting for
Scouting,
clients?
just seeing my clients, spending time with them. So
Well,
I've been doing that.
My brother and I made a commitment to go down. This is the first. I've never been to.
Oh yeah, no, it's the best. It's the best time of the year. I remember the first spring training I went to. I was still working in the Mets front office. Joe McElvain was the general manager of the Mets at the time, and Joe said, he was like, first time down here. It's like best time of the year, and it really is the best.
Yeah.
It's so different than up here. It's chill.
Well, it's all competition up here.
Yeah, it's just chill. It's very laid back, and it's the players are a lot more at ease. It's kind of everything's early there in spring training. Here it's everything's
10 a.m.
late
games.
night. No, but they're up there. They're early in the morning. Players get there early in the morning. If it's before the games start, they end early, but they're all day games. Most of them are day games. So you have night. They go to bed early because they wake up early
in Florida.
the season. Or Arizona.
In March. Or Arizona.
Yeah,
exactly.
no, it's great.
Well, maybe we'll see you down there.
Sounds good.
And listen, if any of you guys want to come down, we could put a group together, go down to Port St. Lucie. Let's do a Mets game. Let's do a Yankees game. That way we get a chance to see everybody. And as a Yankee fan, I'm excited by who they finally made some moves.
Yeah, and they were going to make moves. And listen, Cash does a great job. He's a great guy. I'm a big fan of his. He's a good dude. And they'll be there. They're going to compete no matter what, and they'll be there in the end and see what happens.
Along with the Mets. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
Appreciate it.
You.
Remember,
Thank
the
you.
agent and the fan. Make sure you tune in, and let's see what happens. If you guys want to go down, we can set up a trip down.
Highly recommended.
And that's an agent speaking, and he means it.
It's a good time of year.
All right, be well, everybody. Have a great holiday.
Take care.
And a wonderful new year. And we're going to see him again on Guys Talking Sports early next year. All right, be well, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
All right, take care.